Hey everyone, welcome to a very special stream from Sifted Games at Sifted.net. We're doing double duty today. We have a short episode of GameFace to cap off the year. We're going to talk about all our fantasy leagues. We're going to talk about the Game Awards, and we're going to go reveal by reveal and talk about that stuff. And then we're going to break down for about 5 minutes, reload everything, get our TriCaster ready, get ourselves ready, and then we're going to do our Game of the Year Awards for 2021. Alongside me to do all that, as always, is Matt Kyle. How you doing, Matt?
All right.
You excited for the last show of the year?
Sure.
This is always a benchmark for me because it's like, okay, I can take a breath. I have so much work to get done in the next 5 days, but as far as not having to set up for a stream again, this stream, the pre-production for this stream, it was insane. Let me just show you guys. Let me show you what you guys are in for here. All of this.
Yeah, it's usually one page.
Our show is usually one page. This is what we're getting ready to do here. I have been working on pre-production for this show for 2.5 days. And I got it all done. At the end of it all, I missed one trailer. Which isn't bad because literally there's like 70 that I had to prepare for this show. You guys may think that we just like download the trailer and run it. That's not how it works. We download the trailer, we put it in an editing program, we chop off all the unnecessary crap at the beginning and at the end, and then we have to re-render each trailer. And I did that for like 80 trailers for this show. It's crazy, but it's going to be awesome. I think this show is going to be great. As I said, we're going to do GameFace. I think this episode of GameFace is probably going to last about an hour. At least I hope so. We're going to try to rush through some of this stuff, so don't get too upset if we don't spend as much time on something as you want. We have a lot to get through. And then we'll just take a short break. Matt and I will get like a drink or something, and then we'll come right back. We're not going to take the stream down for the break. We'll leave it up for you guys, but we're going to take just a quick moment to gather ourselves before we dive into our Game of the Year awards. I think we have 23 categories this year, something like that. So big day here on Twitch at twitch.tv/SiftedGames. Thanks to everyone who's shown up. We already have a bunch of Twitch Prime going on. Let me get some of these graphics rolling here. Want to make sure I thank people for this. Toast9, thank you for Twitch Prime. Let's David, thank you for subscribing at Tier 1. That's awesome, man. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're home in Canada for the holidays and ready to go. Already hit level 2 of the Hype Train. That's awesome. Any other Twitch Prime? It's getting towards the middle of the month. Stolte69, thank you for Twitch Prime. Cinetike, thank you for all the bits. You guys are rocking it. Twitch for Fun, thank you for Twitch Prime. Justin Horman, thank you for subscribing at Tier 2. Oh my gosh, the McWomble's in here. You know it's a big episode when he makes it in here from Europe. And he's gifting a bunch of subs to our audience. Thank you very much, guys, for that. That's awesome. Let's see. What else? What other housekeeping do I have? Not much. This is pretty much it as far as our live streams are concerned at twitch.tv/SiftedGames. I'm excited about that because I have so much other work to get done that not doing streams will help me get it complete before I need to head home. I hope you guys are all excited for the holidays. You're ready to go home and see family and friends that maybe you haven't seen for a long time. Hopefully the Omicron isn't going to keep people from doing that. It's starting to get a little dicey, Matt.
Yeah, but so far certainly the booster is helping, and I think they've only had one death from Omicron. So,
I get my booster on Friday.
It's cool.
Finally.
I had no side effects from the booster. So.
I've heard that from almost everybody, that they felt nothing from it, which is good because I'm going to be leaving on Monday to go home for the holidays. And so hopefully I'm not feeling too rotten while I'm flying. Plus I have my knee thing going on. It's going to be an interesting holiday season, to say the least. But I'm really excited about it. This year has really been a grind for me. It's been a lot of work and plus
let's not be like it's like all the 2022s New Year's coming up. It's like 2020 no one claimed 2022 as your year. We're gonna come in real quiet. We're gonna be very respectful. We're gonna not touch anything, and we're gonna hope it all works out this time.
Yeah, we made it through last year of COVID. Okay, like we had lost like a lot of on-site subscribers last year, and we lost some on our Patreon. This year we got hammered. Like we just lost.
Everybody did, really.
We lost so much money. Like we've made so much less this year compared to what we've ever made. This has been the worst year for Sifted we've ever had by a wide margin financially. I think far as content is concerned, it's been a great year, but that hasn't played out in our revenue, which is really unfortunate. But at the same time, I don't want to feel too bad about it because, as you said, like a lot of people are suffering right now financially. So it is what it is. A phrase that seems to work in a lot of different situations.
I mean, you gotta. I mean, it's here now. It's and you're gonna see things start to adjust as like people realize it's like, year 2 of COVID. It's like year 2 of everything. I mean, it's endemic now because people wouldn't get the shot and people wouldn't pay attention. So it's just here now. I'm going to see Spider-Man Thursday night, and I was like, people are like, LA County's got vaccine card requirements and all that
we're
stuff.
back at all masks indoors now too.
Yeah,
like my wife now has to wear a mask at work.
Yep,
which she hasn't had to do for the last 5 or 6 months. I mean, people have been wearing masks indoors here in public places all along. No one stopped. But now, like, she got an email from corporate that's like, everyone, when you go to work now, you have to wear a mask while you're sitting at your desk.
And you see, I mean, it's LA, so it's probably different than other places. But like, I was at an outdoor mall yesterday, and everyone was wearing masks outside, which for a long time they weren't. Like for a long time, people were like outside, which it is. I mean, you're outside, you're probably fine.
You're not going to get it.
But like, people are still just keeping it. I mean, also because it's freezing here now, so probably
it has been really
nice and
cold.
Warm.
Not in here though; it's hot in here today.
No, it's warm in here. The heat's up here. But like this morning when I woke up, it was 41 degrees at my house in sunny Southern California, and I'm just like, what? This is not what I'm here for.
Yeah,
people.
Let's see a couple things. So as I said, we're doing terrible financially. So if you're not doing terrible financially and you've been sitting on the fence, maybe thinking about pledging at our Patreon at patreon.com/sifted, now's the time to do it. Not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I'm not gaslighting. I'm not.
Up that Patreon so we got some leverage to make him play Elden Ring for a long time. Because that'll be some streams.
Yeah. And if you're on YouTube, and look, even people who do subscribe or are patrons can also do this. Twitch Prime, it's free. It costs you nothing. It takes 2 clicks. It's a huge help for us. So if you're a YouTube viewer or if you listen to the show on any of all the podcast services that we're on, even if you can't afford to give us some of your money, maybe you can afford to give us some of Amazon's. It's literally costs you nothing. It's included in your Amazon Prime membership. So if you're a Prime member, you can give us a free $2.50 every month. If you're wondering like why I always talk about Twitch Prime, because a lot of people just listen to the show, that's what I'm talking about. You can give us a free $2.50 every month just because you're a Twitch Prime subscriber. In my opinion, the best benefit of Amazon Prime. I wish they would allow people to.
Pretty good.
It is, yeah. I'm being facetious, obviously. I do wish they would just allow people to just click a box so it just renews.
Yeah. Well, I wish it was easy to do it on the app.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the problem is like.
Yeah, you can't even do it really on the app.
If there's a way to do it on the app, I haven't found it.
Yeah. Amazon or Twitch's site isn't that great, man.
No.
Because
it's not.
And it's really funny. I mean, it's pretty sad, honestly, because like we've started using it like YouTube over the last year and a half because we're putting Pactor Factor.
Share those hype train emotes.
Oh, yeah. I do need to share those hype train emotes. Thanks, guys, for hitting that hype train. And share. Okay, there you go. More. Yep. There we go. Awesome. Thanks, Mitch, for Twitch Prime as well. That's awesome. Anyway, I completely lost my train of thought of what I was talking about. But help us if you can.
Twitch's site sucks.
Oh, yeah. So we started using Twitch as like YouTube, just uploading stuff. And, because there's a paywall there where, Twitch Prime people can get Pactor Factor a week early there. And their site is a disaster. Like, if you upload something, sometimes options just aren't there. And then sometimes they are. It's really weird. Like, man, you would think it's as successful as they are, being owned by Amazon, their website would just be airtight, like lockdown. Not the case. But anyway, let's get on with GameFace episode 283. As I said, a very quick preview. We're going to run through all the fantasy stuff today, which we do every year. And we are at the end of the year. We are going to crown the champion of the 2021 Sifted Fantasy Challenge, which pretty much everyone who shows up on a weekly basis on Twitch has been a part of. We're going to talk about Matt and I's Fantasy League. We're going to talk very briefly about the Sifted Fantasy Football League, which I know of the 3, that's what you guys care the least about. And then we're going to go through the Game Awards. And then we'll break down for a little bit, and then we'll come back for our Game of the Year awards. Capiche? Everyone cool? All right, let's do this. All right, first up, we're going to talk about all the fantasy stuff that's been going on. This all began with Matt and I. Well, actually, it began with Marcus and I, the very first year, doing a video game fantasy league draft. Now it has become something that, like, everyone does, which is very flattering. that has caught on. It's so many other publications. I know Kind of Funny does it, and maybe Easy Allies does like a kind of a tweaked version of it. Pretty much every website at this point does some kind of video game fantasy draft. And so I did it with Marcus the first year, and since then it's been Matt and I. I was the winner last year. Has anyone? I don't think anyone's ever won back to back. Did you win it one time back to back?
I think I won the first 2 times back to back. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's been back and forth.
Yep. Well, it has been going back and forth, and we have the results of the league this year. This is actually really interesting to take a look at, Matt. Here are the results of this year's league. First of all, I did win. I ended up with
rather handily.
Yeah, but so here's the thing about our draft is that if you have a game that falls out, you get a 0 for it. The first couple years we had no alternates. Mm-hmm. And then we decided that sucks to have like half your team like not count. And so we added 2 alternates. I'm starting to wonder if maybe we should add an extra one for next year.
I mean, yeah, I think next year is pretty front loaded, so I think everything will probably make it.
Probably.
Like maybe don't pick Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Or do and just make sure you have an alternate ready. I mean, yeah, you can if you're confident that everything else in your list is going to really totally make it, you can throw out like an Elder Scrolls 6 or something and
just
trust
cross
it
your fingers,
as long as you're sure your alternates are coming out.
You also have to be very conservative. And for the most part, that's what I did this year. I tried to just pick games that I had like a 90% certainty that was going to come out this year, but still, I had
Except
3
God of War.
3 that fell out. But it was labeled for this year, remember?
Yeah, but that was a lie.
But how am I supposed to know they're lying, Matt?
I don't know. I knew.
You didn't know, though. You just thought. And
I
I thought the other way.
Pretty sure.
I thought that they were honest. So anyway, I still had 3 games.
Honest game companies. That's where you missed the boat.
Yeah.
Jim Sterling has taught me well.
I still had 3 games that didn't make it. So Breath of the Wild 2 didn't make it. God of War Ragnarok didn't make it.
I did think Breath of the Wild 2 had a decent shot.
I did too. It's Zelda's big anniversary. Again, didn't happen. Dying Light 2 barely missed it.
Yeah, I mean, that was almost there.
It was supposed to come out
close.
like now, basically.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out last week.
Yeah, and at the last minute, they delayed it into next year. So, but as I said, we have 2 alternates that we can use to fill in for games that do not count or can't count. And I did pretty well with my alternates this year. But I still only finished with 9 games. I did not have the full 10. I don't think either one of us has ever finished a year with all 10.
I think I did once.
Did you?
I think once.
I don't remember that.
I'd have to look back on it.
I'm not
I think
sure.
the first year we had alternates, I mean like with no alternates used?
No, just like had all 10 games to count.
No, I think the first year of alternates I got all 10.
Got okay. Last year I think I had 8 or something like that. So anyway, as you can see, the total, I had 747 points. Matt ended up with 565. Matt, you ended up with 7 games that counted. I ended up with 9 games that counted. And then we always do the average just to see whose games, the ones that did count, which ones had the highest average. And I slipped past you by like 2 points there. 83 was the average score of games for me that counted, and 81 was the average score for games that you that counted. Looking at your list now, is there anything that sticks out where you're like, oh man, like what was I thinking? Or is there anything you're like...
Apparently Lego Star Wars. What was I thinking? I do not get it. I guess I probably shouldn't have had enough confidence in Warner Brothers to get Gotham Knights out the door for an alternate. NBA is not the slam dunk it used to be, pun intended. It was 72 this year.
Yeah, that definitely sticks out. But you only know what sticks out for me, Matt? There's not a single game from 2021 that scored a 9 or better aggregate.
No.
Not a single one.
Closest is Psychonauts 2 with 89.
Yep. And so...
And It Takes Two.
Yeah. And so how I calculate...
The platformer with 2 in its name. That's the secret, apparently.
Now, I will say this. There were a couple platform-specific releases that got over a 9. So maybe the PS5 got like a 9 or a 9.1, but then the Switch version or the Xbox version was lower and it would even out, so it didn't end up with the 9. But aggregate, not a single game over 9 this year. What does that tell you, Matt?
It was a less than stellar year, which I would agree with. Like
yeah.
It's you were saying earlier, before we went on, that like picking the game of the year winners, the winners for the categories this year was actually pretty easy, and I agree, because there was usually only about one standout per category.
Yeah,
like it was I would consider this a down year.
Yep.
A lot of stuff slipped out. This was the year, I think we said it at the beginning of the year. This was the year you're going to start seeing the real impact of the pandemic and the switch to work from home and the delays that are going to result from that. And we did.
I've never seen so many delays in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it made this really difficult. And if you want proof of just how difficult it was to pick 10 games. And first of all, wait, I got to give myself a round of applause for winning. I don't get to do this too often. I'm the wiener. Back to back, by the way. That's pretty exciting. Good playing with you again, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get back at it next year. But if you need any further evidence of how many games were delayed out of this year and how hard it was just to pick 10 games that were going to be at least average that would actually release this year, take a look at the Sifted Fantasy Challenge. This is insane. So, we are right now crowning the winner. Let me refresh this, actually. So I just want to make sure it's accurate, because we're about to crown it right now. Yep, and he still is the champ. Wilson, with a score of 1288, is the winner of the Sifted Fantasy Challenge. I believe Wilson is a patron or a subscriber, which means that he gets 2 free games of his choice. And Wilson, please contact me. You can contact me anywhere on Twitter, on sifted.net, at Shane. However you want to get at me, just reach out to me and let me know what games you want, and we'll get them out to you. I'll probably send them out to you when I get back from the holidays, because I'm really short on time. But here's what I was getting at. Take a look at this grid, Matt. Mm-hmm. There is only one player in this entire challenge that got all 10 games scored. Wilson. Mm-hmm. That's it. Scroll down. Everybody, every single person has less than 10.
I'm way down there. I was like top 10 last year.
Well, here you can see me. I'm 127th, but I just went for it. I have Zelda, God of War, Horizon Forbidden West. I basically Baldur's Gate 3. I just picked all games that I thought were going to score the highest, and I got burned by delays. Where are you? Matt's here at 95. Yep. So anyway, congratulations to Wilson. I think he's a patron, which means he gets 2 free games. Congratulations. He also gets a round of applause for that. And thanks for playing, everybody. There were so many entries this year. It went up a ton from last year, and we'll be doing it again next year. So start thinking about your picks. And I agree with you, Matt. I think it will be a lot easier. Actually, let's take a look and see where Polak ended up, our champion from last year.
The chat does point out that Forza Horizon 5 and Endwalker got over a 9 aggregate, but we didn't pick them.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Because we didn't know Horizon 5 existed yet.
That's a good point. It also has the advantage of not releasing on another platform, too.
Yeah. Like a Switch version of Forza Horizon 5 would probably drag that down a bit.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely happens. Here he is, 78. So the champ from last year finished 78th this year. He had his first 3 games. Didn't come out. That'll screw you, because this is all weighted.
Yeah.
So your first pick is weighted the highest. Your last pick is weighted the least.
So what was the lineup for the number for Wilson?
Wilson's lineup: Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, Monster Hunter Rise, Far Cry 6, Bravely Default 2, Returnal, Little Nightmares 2, Deathloop, It Takes Two, and Back 4 Blood. They all made it out. Yeah. And that's all he needed to do.
Yeah.
Think about this when you're filling this out here in about 5 weeks. Just remember that the person that won just made sure that every game on his team came out. That's all it was.
Because a 74 is better than a 0.
It's better to be conservative with this than to like swing for the fences. It just is. It gives you the best chance to win. Because if you don't have a game, you have no chance. Because as we've seen, at least one person is going to have all 10. Hopefully. I mean, I think next year it'll be a lot easier, as you said. So anyway, there you go.
Like, you're going to be able to pick 10 games out of the first quarter.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the first half of next year is just loaded with awesome games. It is good. I'll say this. The first 6 months of 2022 are going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. There are so many good games to play and get through. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for it. It'll make us forget all about this year. Because there were some points here where, like, you know, if you do a weekly podcast like ours, like, you really feel the ebb and flow. Because you have to prepare content to fill out a 3-hour show every week. And some weeks this year, we had to work for it. And I appreciate you guys, like, all sticking by us. I know there were some episodes where we were talking about stuff, and I'm like, man, most years we would never be discussing this, but it is what it is. That's the way it goes. We cannot control what the industry does. I've tried my entire life, and I can't do it. So there you go. Sip the Fantasy Challenge champion, Wilson. And Polak, again, finished like 78th or whatever, and Matt and I were way in the weeds. But I did that on purpose. And then the final fantasy check-in that we're going to do is the Sifted Fantasy Football League. And I know you guys don't care about this as much as the other two, but we have been playing all year, and people have been dedicated to it for the most part. So I do want to show you kind of what happened. I had the... So here's the crazy part. I'm in 4 fantasy football leagues. In 2 leagues, I've been first place. I'm going into the playoffs with the bye. The other 2, literally, I had the worst fantasy football seasons of my entire life. I've never... So I finished 5-9 in this league. I was 1 in the rest until like 4 weeks ago. My team at the end of the year has turned out to be one of the best teams in the league, but it was too late. And the reason it was too late is because this other division on the right here was terrible. Seriously, they could not beat anyone in my division. I was eliminated in this league like 5 weeks ago because the 3 teams at the top were just handed wins. Like Routledge Jets, he was like one of the lowest scorers in the league, and he had eliminated me by like week 8. And then here's the funny part. So when I was eliminated, I had actually outscored Routledge Jets, and I had 1 win. And he had like 8 wins. And he had the audacity to tell me, try hard and maybe you won't finish last. Which on some level I appreciate. On another level, I was like, bro, check the numbers, man, before you get cocky. But anyway, what happened is that the other division could never beat our division. And so everyone in my division just piled up the wins, and I was done, like before I even had a chance to kind of come back. So anyway, Robert Diana finishes with the bye. Matt Kyle Rocks, who won year before last, also got the bye. He's a good player for sure. And then in one division this week, Fantasy Football Team and Rightland play each other. And in the other one, Wampler 13 and Michigan Goatman. That is Johnny Hurricane, by the way, Michigan Goatman. They play in the first round. And then the winners of those games go on to play Robert Diana and Matt Kyle Rocks. And then the winner of that game will play in the bowl for the championship. So I do want to thank everybody for playing. I had a lot of fun because I haven't really been in this position like ever, where I was like at the bottom just scratching trying to make the playoffs. It never happens to me. So it was a fun kind of experiment trying to figure it out for me. Everybody stayed engaged. Like Prevesti, he finished 3-11, but he was starting his team until the end. I do have to say, MTUSA Montana Madness quit. Like, seemed like at week 3. He just stopped starting his team and just gave everybody wins. And he finished 1-13. But it was a fun season. I still enjoyed it. I learned a lot from playing and kind of playing from the bottom. So hopefully that pays off in future fantasy football seasons. It's just been an insane year for fantasy football. There's been so much COVID and injuries to huge players that it's been impossible, honestly. And if you are doing well, you've been very lucky. It just means that you didn't get beat up by COVID, basically. I had a buddy who must-win game last week. He had 1 player left. He needed 3 points, and he had the tight end for the Rams. And 3 hours before the game, he tested positive for COVID, and it was the last game of the week, so he just lost. Then it turns out it was a false positive. So somebody missed the playoffs on a false positive COVID test in one of my leagues. So it's just been a crazy year. I thank everyone for sticking to it. When we do crown a champion, I'll probably let you guys know who actually won the league when we get back from the holidays. But that's all the updates on our fantasy stuff. It's always fun. I'm glad that I managed to bring like something I really enjoyed doing into gaming, and that it's kind of spread across the industry and people are enjoying it. It's really great to see. And now it's time to talk about the Game Awards 2021. We're a little late on this. I wish we could have got to it a little bit earlier, Matt. But that's the way it is. Unfortunately, I had to do so much pre-production to get these shows. I could not have done this show any earlier. It was impossible. So just know that I'm busting my ass behind the scenes trying to get this stuff to you guys as quickly as possible. We're going to talk about the Game Awards. We're going to break it up into several different sections. We're going to talk about the awards. Then we're going to talk about the reveals/trailers. Then we're going to talk about the performances, like the music performances and everything. And then Matt and I are going to give a final grade for the Game Awards and provide our overall thoughts about it. And again, we need to get this done quickly. I should also note, and some of you may cry over this, there's no Name That Game today. We just don't have time for it. And we probably won't meet much of a Q&A at the end of the show today either. When we get done with our Game of the Year awards, hopefully there'll be some time left to do a final Q&A for 2021 before we head off for the break. Okay, let's talk about the Game Awards, Matt. Let's talk about the awards, or the lack thereof, as some might say.
As always.
As always, but do you feel like there was anything different about it this year?
It was more noticeably, like, unimportant this year, which I've always, I've hammered on for years about, like, this is a commercial. This is a commercial that uses an award show as an excuse to exist as a commercial. And the most obvious, example of that is when they just sort of hand the awards out. Sometimes when someone wins something as they're coming up, they'll be like, this game also won this, and this, which means they are never going to show that award. Mm-hmm. But mostly, like, to me, the most embarrassing part is when if it's not a major award, and their version of major award is weird because, like, one of them things is not a major award, it's apparently best RPG. And stuff like that.
The biggest genre in the industry. Well, although this year it's been lean.
Yeah, not so much. But but it's just like it's like the nominees for best RPG are, and they like list them all on the left, and then like Jeff or whoever just stands there quiet for a second, and then goes, and the game award goes to whoever, and it's like, you're not even going to list the nominees. You're not going to show clips of each one to sort of remind us what that's just sort of basic decorum for an award you're giving out at a major industry event, like, and then like when you say, and of course when they say it's one of two things. It's like, oh, okay, the winner is Tales of Arise. Congratulations, it's Tales of Arise. Awesome, great, all right, great job, guys. It's just like, what? Really? Or they pan over and the guy who is accepting the award has been standing there the whole time, so it's not like anything was a surprise to anybody. Like, it's just such play acting on that. And it's like, if you want us to take this seriously as an award show, and look, it's never going to be the Oscars because the Oscars are peers recognizing peers.
But Matt, the Oscars.
Yeah, well, he got rewarded for that, didn't he? In the long run.
We'll talk about that here in a minute.
In the end, this is maybe the Golden Globes. Just in terms of visibility, it's probably going to go. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association is a little more prestigious than whatever panel Keeley has assembled under the auspices of a bunch of corporate bureaucrats. That, I guess, good for him on finally deciding to ignore all that and who was on his board or whatever, and saying like, there's no room for abuse or anything or harassment or anything, and they say we need to be better and watchdog and cool. Here's a trailer for a game by Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
Which I know Schreier and a bunch of people called that out, but it's just like, bro, like. Just at least put it later in the show. Like, it would almost have been better to just not say anything.
Yeah, the timing of it was certainly a little odd.
Yeah, because you can put that anywhere in a show you want. You put it right there. Give me a break.
No, I did a quick skim of the
you will
awards.
never, ever get any traction with the awards on this until you treat these awards like something someone cares about. And the problem is, no one cares. Like, I mean, people wouldn't care. It's something to talk about. But no one's talking about who won what that night. In part because none of the winning is notable or memorable, because he just lists shit off except for like 3 awards. So like, everyone remembers the trailers they saw, but no one remembers what won Best RPG because it was just Jeff reading now you didn't even read the list. He just says, here's the list. The winner's that. Okay, let's show a trailer. Like, it's like,
I did a quick scrub of the show, and it seems like, from my count, they handed out like 11 or 12 awards on stage. Like, where they actually had the person come up and give a speech, and I was actually surprised by that, because it seemed like when I was watching the show, it didn't seem like there were that many.
It didn't feel like, well, because it's a long show and there's tons of trailers.
Long
and then sometimes they do all the esports stuff is hilarious, because it's like the nominees for best whatever esports whatever is this, and I'm just like, none of those are words.
They actually put that on the air.
Yeah,
like that was one of the awards that they made a big deal about.
But also, I'm looking at them, I was like, none of these are words. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like you're speaking another language to me. It's ridiculous. And they front loaded a bunch of it in the pre-show with that poor girl who was Sydney or something.
Yeah.
I think
does she still work at IGN?
I don't know.
I think she does.
She's
a pretty good host.
She did a good job, but it's like she had very little to work with in terms of what was written for her.
Yeah, the writing was not great.
And so it felt like she was nervous, or she was like, she didn't feel, not nervous in the sense that she's never done this before. Clearly, she's done it for years. But like, there was an element of, like, she had the nervousness of and I'm saying as someone who's produced things like this for years, she had the nervousness of a host that doesn't feel like she's supported.
No, yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Like it felt she's had the nervousness of someone who feels like she's out there all on their own, and I don't know what's going on.
I mean, there may not have been a producer.
Maybe
with
not.
it.
You know, she may not have been anyone there to catch her if something went weird.
Yeah.
Because we know, at the very least, you and I know that the first thing that happens when you go try to shoot stuff, out in the middle of the theater like that is the prompter goes down.
Yeah.
Like that's just,
well, you have to assume that it's something that's
just
gonna
assume
happen.
the prompter's going down and have the cue cards ready.
Yeah.
It's but it just felt weird to me, and she's like at the end, like you could almost hear the relief in her voice. And
when she's like, it's time for the show.
It's been great being here, but I'm going to go sit down. I'm just like, you really do want to go do anything else right now. It's like, and I don't blame her. It's just something weird there. Certainly I'm not trying to cast any shade on her. I'm just saying my producer senses were tingling.
Well, that's not her. That's production.
No, that was production. There was something weird going on there.
Yeah.
Jeff maybe had the same problem, but he's been there forever and he's the boss, so he doesn't really have to worry about it the same way.
Yeah, he can also just wing it if he needs to.
Yeah, he doesn't need the rundown or the. He knows it. He did it himself.
He's the one who set it all up.
Yeah,
yeah.
He is the rundown.
He is. Yeah, human rundown.
And it's fine. Like I do once again. Don't try to make Jeff act.
Yeah.
Like don't have him interact with it. Like it's just not. He's a host. He's a PR guy. He's not. He's not a comedidian.
What about
Although
the
I did
actual
enjoy
awards?
I did enjoy the what was the thing that came out from Nier or something? Was it Nier or something weird thing? Some weird robot thing came out.
Oh, that's from Elden Ring.
That's from Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
I knew it was
the
from
pot.
The pot.
Yeah. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was a bad sketch.
I appreciate the attempt. But
apparently they felt that the pot was far more iconic than I did.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I mean, I remember seeing it in the game, and I was like, okay,
they're really gonna make pot happen. Apparently, this is
that's good. Let's talk about the awards. Were there any games that won that you were like, what? Like, how do you feel about Game of the Year going to It Takes Two?
I'm happier about that than it going to Deathloop. Which was my prediction. I really thought Deathloop kind of cleaned up a little bit in the
First
other
of all,
awards.
our predictions were terrible.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
I got one.
On the other hand, I think Vincent may have got a rundown of the show. Like seriously, I mean, I'm sure he didn't, but some of the stuff like that he predicted.
Well, Vincent's got his hand on the pulse of the rumor network, and a lot of the rumor network stuff was correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that he put in the entirely too many Game Awards predictions article, like, were eerily accurate. I was like, wait a minute. Like, random kind of unimportant games that I was like, he put in there, and I was like, I almost cut them out of it because I'm like, no one cares about this. We're in there. Like, I don't know how he did it, but he did a really good job.
Kyle did a whole episode of his show on the pot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that probably explains.
It's a thing. The fandom went nuts for the pot.
Oh, okay. Great. I guess that explains it. Do you think it's convenient that It Takes Two won Game of the Year after Joseph Fares is kind of the face of the Game Awards at this point, if there is one besides Jeff?
A little bit, but it's also not an invalid choice.
No, it deserves
out
it,
of those nominees.
Yeah.
And look, like I thought it was going to be Deathloop or Metroid Dread, so I'm glad it went to a game I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Joseph Fares fan. I think he's kind of a tool.
He's a little douchey.
Like he's just trying a little too hard.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
But like he made a really good game.
He did.
And he and his team made a really good game.
I mean,
and that's speaking as someone who really didn't like the last one they made.
Yeah.
It Takes Two was great. It was one of the big surprises of the year, and it had charm and a heart and a lot of inventiveness and a lot of stuff I hadn't seen before. It's kind of the opposite of him.
Yeah.
None
of the awards really stood out to me. Like, there weren't any where they announced it, and I was like, what? Really? Like, they all could be rationalized. It made sense. So, yeah, I think the awards, there could be more.
Yeah.
And when we get to the end, we start
also,
really...
I don't want to hammer it too hard. More orchestra stuff, less bands Jeff wants to meet after the show.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't need Imagine Dragons to come back.
Did we need Sting?
Or Sting's grandfather, basically. I mean, sometimes I don't want to see how old the rock stars of my youth look. I just watched David Lynch's Dune, where Sting parades around in like a rubber thong and the whole time, and it's like the epitome of like illicit sin desire. And now it's like now he shows up at the Game Awards and it's just like, oh my God, behold the ravages of time. I mean, look, the man looks better than I'm going to look at that age. But like, something about the fact that he still had the scarf on, like he just walked in off the streets of London in a Dickens novel. I'm just like, it was a strange thing.
Yep. So anyway, that's the awards. We'll get into our analysis of kind of the show overall at the very end of this section. But now we're going to turn our attention to, as Matt said, the reason most people really watch the Game Awards, and that's for the reveals. That's why I watch it. I mean, I think most people probably watch it for the reveals. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at polls that people put, it's 90-some% say for the trailers.
So
it's like if the Oscars
does that
were the only
vindicate
place.
Jeff for not focusing on the awards as much?
What?
Does that vindicate Jeff for not focusing on the awards as much?
I don't know if it vindicates. I mean, it's not. It's just stop pretending this is anything other than a commercial.
Yeah.
Like the award. I mean, if you want
it's like a container or a vehicle to deliver premieres.
Yeah, if you want to throw the awards in there as part of the show, sure, but it's not the Game Awards, it's the game trailers.
Yeah,
it's the
that's
game
already taken though.
Right, but like it's like if the Oscars were the only place to see the trailer for the next Avengers movie.
Well, I saw someone in chat said, like, could you imagine if you're watching the Oscars and in between every award they show like 5 movie trailers?
Yeah, that's literally what this is.
It is,
and it's not even the Oscars. It's more like the Golden Globes. Again,
Right.
Golden Globes is the better comparison because that's
how it's selected.
Press.
Yeah.
The Oscars are what they are because they are professional peers recognizing peers.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you win Best Cinematography at the Oscars is because the other cinematographers in the Academy voted for you.
Yep.
The people who do what you do are saying you did this the best of all of us this year, which is why it means so much.
Yeah.
Which is similar to the DICE Awards or the Game Developers Choice Awards.
Yep.
This is press stuff, which is what the Golden Globes do, or a couple other things.
At least when people accept their awards, they don't have to go up there and say, I thank the Gaming Editorial Press Association. Like they do with the Golden Globes. That's so annoying.
Yeah, thanks to Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
It's like they're do they have? Are they contractually obligated
no,
to say that?
it's just smart. It's just you want them to
you want to kiss ass.
You want to kiss some ass when you're out there. Yeah.
Okay, we need to get to these reveals because there were so freaking many. Oh my gosh! I mean, I honestly haven't talked to Vincent about this since
it got numbing after a while.
It was like machine gun fire.
My throat got tired because every time, I know they don't do it anymore because people made fun of it, but every time that header comes up, I go, world premiere.
Yeah.
Like, it's my screen.
I mean, I haven't talked to Vincent about this, but I'll just be honest. I felt like about an hour and 45 minutes into it that I was like curating E3, all of E3 in like 3 hours. Mm. I mean, I got to say, Jeff knocked it out of the park with the reveals. He got not a lot of gigantic stuff, but he got everything.
It was definitely quantity over quality, especially, and it was also a little refreshing in the sense it's been such a quiet second half of the year.
Yeah,
this is nice to see some new things, even if I don't care about all of them.
I mean, it appeared that he got anything that could have been gotten.
Yeah, it was. The Game Awards could have been subtitled "Anything That Moves."
Like if right, like if the way I feel about it is, if something did not appear in the show, my assumption is it was not up for debate to be in the show. Meaning like a God of War or Zelda or whatever. Like my guess is Sony and Nintendo were like, no, we have nothing. Yeah. We can't show you anything because everything else was there. Like it's crazy. I have 3 pages of reveals. It's nuts, and we need to get to them because there's so many. Let's start things off with Hellblade 2. There's been a lot of discussion on the site about whether this is real or not. Most people on Sifted...
It is.
I believed it from the beginning, too. People were like, this isn't gameplay. And I started watching it, and I'm like...
It is.
Here's what I think.
As soon as she starts walking down the beach, that's gameplay.
And I'm not even, like, saying it's like...
I'm not saying it's very involved gameplay.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not saying, like, the question was whether it was real-time or not real-time. They were saying this is not how the game's going to play. Mm-hmm. And I think it might be.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna. If this is an example. If this, are you going to be luring giant, creepy monster men down caves the whole time? Probably not.
Not the whole time.
But I think that this is what's going to happen. I think you are going to be part of a team more, rather than the solo adventure the first game was. Calling for spears and. That kind of thing. Like, I think it's going to be a very cinematic thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be this overt, like, now you're playing thing, and here comes a HUD, not. And here's your, like, spear count or anything. I think it's going to be one of those games that transitions between cinematics and gameplay, and you struggle to figure out when that happens.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And there might be more, in the final game, I would imagine there's going to be more feedback. There'll probably be more, game, HUD, not HUD stuff, but I would imagine more of a feedback on whether you hit something or what kind of of damage has been done, some kind of like, response system. But no, this definitely felt like an not a vertical slice necessarily, but an example of something you will be playing. Because this feels like a very early thing. It's probably the first thing you do in the game.
Maybe.
What I think.
Yeah, it does seem kind of like a setup.
It feels a little like teaching moment.
Yep.
There's no real actual threat. Everything's sort of like kind of, set up.
But I think this is how the game's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's going to slip in and out of cinematics. And so like Vincent is saying right now, like, it's gameplay from a game that doesn't have much gameplay in it.
Yeah.
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 That's a good way to put it. Like, this is what the game's going to be like,
it's like
when
watching
you're playing the
gameplay
game.
from, I don't know, Heavy Rain or something.
Right.
It's just like, it's not a, even the first one wasn't like that either. Even the fights in the first Hellblade were pretty cinematic.
Yep.
There wasn't like a fighting game. It was more like kind of a dance.
Yeah.
And,
so I think this is the game, people.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like some subterfuge or them like trying to fake it or anything like that. Like, this is what it's going to be like.
I think this is definitely a sample of gameplay. I mean, the rest of the game may play very differently, or maybe I don't know what happens after this or whatever. But no, this is definitely real time. This is definitely some form of gameplay. It's just not very robust. This ain't God of War.
Yeah,
people.
That's not the way this series is. So I was impressed with this, like, big time. Like, it looks amazing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and I thought it's, and I don't say this about everything, I thought it was extremely creepy.
Yes.
Like, this whole thing is extremely off-putting.
You should also put on headphones while you watch this trailer. It adds a lot to it.
Yeah, like this thing coming, and like this like thing where that moves without moving its head, like that is really weird. Like the imagery in this is real. The first one as well, but the imagery in this is a very high disturbing factor. And I am not someone who gets scared. We've been over this. Horror games don't really scare me. Horror movies don't really scare me. I don't get scared by jump things or things like that. What gets me is terror and tone, which is one of the things the early Silent Hills did really well. And this is doing this really well too. Like this sort of thing where it's like, what's coming out of the fire? Where is it? And the fact that it knows her name is really just. There's a lot of cool. Yep. There's some Junji Ito shit going on here that I'm really digging. So if this is the tone,
also don't forget this game is about mental health.
Yeah.
This is like inside her mind, essentially.
Yeah, like what's real and what isn't is completely
hard
fluid
to discern, and it doesn't matter really.
No, it doesn't,
because they're all real to her.
Yeah, it's this could all be internal struggle externalized as part of the game, or it could be really what's happening, or it could be a mix of both. Like there's no way to know. There's never any way to know what was real and what wasn't in the first game.
My excitement for this game went way up after this, and that's what it's all about. Next reveal, big shocker here, Matt.
Well, we knew about this.
Oh, Star Wars Eclipse. It broke, like 2 days before?
I knew about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Like, I knew that there was a game called Star Wars Eclipse being made by Quantic Dream.
Okay.
That was about it.
And we talked about this a minute ago, so I don't want to belabor it too much. But obviously, Quantic Dream, David Cage making a narrative-driven Star Wars game. I think everyone's...
My personal nightmare.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people it would be...
Although the harassment and horrible business practices aside, maybe David Cage's terrible writing will fit pulp space opera Star Wars better than it will solving racism through androids. Like part of the problem with David Cage's stuff is he's trying to write to subjects that are well beyond his capability.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's
always out of his depth.
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
StarArs may be just about right.
Talking about
however, this game's apparently 4 or 5 years away because they can't even hire enough people to work at their shitty company to they can't fill out the ranks.
Hire enough people to go into full production.
So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, their official word is 3 to 4 years away.
Yeah, it's a cool looking trailer. It's all there's no
game here at all. This is legitimately like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And it's set in the High Republic era, which is a new setting that they started like a year and a half ago or something.
What does that mean?
Basically, it's just 300 years before the movies.
Okay.
So it's sort of like the height of the Old Republic before it started to really decay, as we saw in the prequels. Yoda's like 400, so he's sort of like middle-aged. He's a younger,
middle-aged,
that kind of thing.
400. Yeah. I mean, I don't carry much hope that I'm going to really enjoy this. Like, I will probably because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play it because it's Star Wars, but like, I have no real hope for this.
Yeah,
only a fool's
I'm
hope.
not setting my phaser to stun.
Yeah, that's the other franchise.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get to that too.
One.
Yep, we absolutely will. As of right now, though, no release date for this. It is all next gen. It's PC, PS5.
We'll be lucky if this isn't next gen.
PS6.
Yeah.
here's the other thing, Matt, about the Game Awards. The page was turned. Almost every reveal is for games that are just for PS5, just for Series X, and PC. There's none of this 8-platform crap. The only games that still have that are games that we've already known about for like a year or more before this show happened. So, yeah, changes afoot. Next up, real shocker, Wonder Woman. Coming from Monolith, the team behind Shadow of Mordor. We know very little about this other than its very popular Nemesis system from those games is coming to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, that is a system that's highly underutilized, and I've been waiting for either someone to steal it or for them to apply it to a different license, and here we are. I do think this game is way out.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is
well, I mean, you can
years
tell
away.
by this trailer. It's just a character model that they're zooming in and out of. Like, they
But-
have nothing.
But cool, I'll play it. Wonder Woman game, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, no notes. Like,
It seemed to
bring
be
on.
one of the trailers in the show that generated the most hype. People were really excited about this
Because
one.
people want another freaking DC superhero game. Like,
Yep.
they stopped making Batman, so I guess we're going to have Wonder Woman now, and that's fine. But, like, make something.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't announce platforms for this, but I think we all know it's next gen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah,
of course.
it's not going to be coming to PS4 and Xbox One.
It's also been wondering what Monolith's been doing anyway, so.
Yep, and now we know. So pretty exciting stuff. Next up, something near and dear to my heart, though I hate to admit this. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, is getting a video game. It's being created by the team that made the Friday the 13th game, which makes me very, very nervous because that game was pretty much a disaster at launch.
Yeah, but watch Matt McMuscle's What Happened about that game. It wasn't their fault.
Okay,
There was a
believe that.
lot of weird shit behind the scenes on
Well,
that.
I know a little bit about it because I know the Friday the 13th license in general is a mess.
Yes.
because certain people
Partly
own
that, but
certain
there's
parts
also
of it.
funding things. They got screwed over 4 different ways.
Yeah.
It was not their fault. That was not their fault.
I get that. The game still ended up being a piece
yeah.
of crap for a really long time.
But
And
the
then-
Texas Chainsaw Massacre license should not be. Also, like, I don't care about this. I'll just watch the movie again. But
Are you a fan of the film?
yeah, I like the film.
Yeah.
I just have no interest in a game about it. Really.
Yeah.
I don't care about horror games, really. Also, like, the constant based on true events thing on this trailer. It's
bullshit.
like, what are you talking?
That movie was
Yes,
never.
people have been murdered in Texas, I guess. That's
Yeah.
about all you got.
I mean, that's a lie.
Yeah,
like they used it for the film to promote the film.
right. I mean, it's inspired by Ed Gein. And,
Right.
And
they just filled in the rest.
Yeah, but it's not
it's not based on real events.
No.
And what did they 2 times in this trailer?
quite the
They-
beginning and the end, yeah.
Really trying to point it home. Look, I am excited for this. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. And a lot of that goes to what you were saying about the type of horror that you like. Like, a lot of people hear Texas Chainsaw Massacre and they're like, oh, that must be like the most gory movie ever. It's really not. There's
It
hardly...
was for the time, but that's about it.
But now it's not. Like,
No,
there's
now it's-
hardly any gore in it. There's the scene where he puts the girl on the meat hook, and there's a couple other ones, but for the most part, it's just psychological terror with a bunch
Or
of
like stuff in the background.
with
There's, like,
skulls
there's like
and
meat
like
in the
teeth
background
and meat.
stuff.
Yeah. It's not what people expect it to be, just based upon
Mm-hmm.
what its kind of mythos it's been built over the years. I do wonder how it's going to work because
I mean, it's just another Dead by Daylight thing.
Is it?
Yeah. It's like the Friday the 13th game they made.
yeah, and
Except they're using Leatherface.
right.
so.
But see, at least with Friday the 13th, Jason had like all these different eras and
Yeah.
iterations. Leatherface has always just been Leatherface.
Yeah,
so
he's got slightly different. There's like the reboot had a slightly different look to him. I mean,
Little bit.
Basically, you just take the tweaks from the different costume versions and then add different powers to that, and that's your different variations, I guess.
this is also PC, PS5, and Xbox Series.
You could also use characters from the rest of the family.
yeah,
There's other villains,
the
in it.
brothers and
yeah.
the grandpa,
Yeah, grandpa
who comes
just
alive when you
squeaking
feed him
along,
the
yeah.
blood.
You can do some. You can do
Yeah,
some
I
stuff.
guess you could do some stuff. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could get the grandpa on your side? Like if you get cut and you can stick your finger in his mouth and he comes alive. And
I think you've already come up with something more interesting than
I
anything's
may
going to be in this game.
so anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. No hard release date yet, but we'll see. Hopefully the development isn't as bumpy as Friday the 13th was. Next up, something people have been waiting for a long, long time. It is Alan Wake 2. Little bit of a change of tone for this.
Yeah, going full survival horror with this one.
Yeah, instead of being like this
But it
weird,
sure looks
like,
nice.
It does. Instead of being this weird, like, supernatural kind of sci-fi thing that the first Alan Wake was, this is just going straight horror. I'm surprised they showed so little. I mean, this trailer is literally like 28 seconds long or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a ways out as well.
What has Remedy been doing, though?
Control DLC.
Yeah, I mean, the last piece of that wrapped up. Well, I guess you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like earlier this, like April.
Yeah. Because the thing about Control is, like, not a lot of people played it, but it was like Game of the Year. So
yeah, it was really good.
They kind of had to support it.
And they had Alan Wake DLC.
It did, yeah. Yeah, like a little...
Control's really good, so...
It is.
Yeah, they're working on... Remedy's got a lot of stuff going on, I think, so...
They're building it on their own engine, which... Control's weird, because Control on PC is like a benchmark game.
Yeah.
Control on consoles was kind of a mid-range game as far as visuals were concerned.
Although the upgrade
helped a lot.
It looks nice on Series X.
Yeah. But,
doesn't look like the PC version, but it looks nice.
I mean, the other thing, too, for me is that I was never a gigantic fan of the first Alan Wake. In fact, we did a Game Pass or fail for Alan Wake not that long ago, and it didn't grade favorably for that either.
I liked it, but it's I don't know. Like, it's just...
I think it needs to change direction, which is what they're doing.
And it is. So,
so I think that'll work out for the better.
The thing, going back to it when they did the remaster this year didn't grab me again. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, I liked American Nightmares better.
Oh, Vincent is saying Control 2 is in the works.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Yes, Alan Wake 2 is on PS5, WNerd123. It's PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. So, yep, coming out. It's going multi-platform. It's not an Xbox exclusive anymore. Next up, probably the most disappointing thing that I saw at the entire award show, Sonic Frontiers. It is an open-world Sonic the Hedgehog game that sounds better than it is in practice. I don't know. This part here is basically the teaser trailer they released initially, but eventually they get to the part where they actually show you the game, and it's weird, Matt.
It's Sonic Arceus.
It's just yeah.
It's Breath of the Hedgehog.
How does that work with Sonic? Like,
I don't know. Sonic's mythology is so weirdly fluid that it could be anything. There's the old version where it's like he was on another planet. There's the Archie comics where they came up with their own whole mythology spanning dimensions. There's the version in some of the later games where where Sonic Adventure showed up and everyone's like, wait, there's like people and a city and he's on Earth and like what? Like what? Because in Japan it was like the Mobius planet was not really a thing. There was a different mythology because Sega of America like came up with their own story for things. And like it just and then they tried to merge it. Like it's all pretty messed up. And none of it really matters all that much. And if they were smart, they would be trying to align this more with the movies.
I just don't know how Sonic works in an open world. He runs so fast. It's like you'd have to build a world the size of frickin'...
Well, you can do that. You can make it as big as like Forza Horizon 5.
I guess.
There's not going to be a lot to do.
Here's my other concern. Anytime, as you
it does look pretty big.
As you just hinted at, anytime Sonic goes into the real world, it's a disaster. Like, to me, this has Sonic 2006 written all over it. Like a complete disaster.
Maybe. I don't think it'll be as bad as that.
I don't know, man.
I don't think there'll be load screens between text.
Fair enough.
Like, that was... I've never seen anything like that.
This game looks like ass to me, Matt. Like ass.
I don't think we know enough about it yet. I don't have a lot of hope for a Sonic game, but I'll admit I was more impressed by the trailer for the sequel than the movie.
Yeah, way more. Yep.
Idris Elba said he was not going to voice Knuckles as a sexy hedgehog, or as a sexy echidna, and he lied.
Well, I will say this, Matt. If you want this game on your fantasy team, you're going to get it.
Because
I am not drafting it.
Look, whether I enjoy it or not, I don't think it's coming next year.
Even though they're saying holiday next year.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to slip because there's no way this is going to... Unless they release it in 2006 condition.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I'm confident about Starfield, because Bethesda's going to release that shit no matter what.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care. I've had save bugs on Skyrim's 10th anniversary thing that have erased like 2 hours of my progress in the last week. I was like, this game's a decade old, and you've ported it 3 times, and you still haven't fixed that. I'm not worried about Starfield launching incomplete. It will launch on that day, whether it fucking works or not.
Well, they put the date in their trailer.
You put it in CG. It's in stone now. You're done. But I can't imagine Sonic Frontiers being much more than a 62.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good fantasy draft
I would not
choice.
draft it on your fantasy team.
No, I don't. I would not pick that.
Next up, a game that I was impressed with and am excited for. It's a game called Slitterhead.
Yeah, this definitely pinged my radar, but that is one of the most disgusting names for anything I've ever heard. Like, I don't like even saying the title, Slitterhead.
Yeah.
And I know why, because everybody's face splits.
Well, I didn't get it until the last shot.
It's so such a word that I've seen a lot of people miswriting it as Splitterhead. But no, it's Slitterhead.
It is being developed by the creator of the original Silent Hill. It also is bringing on some people from PlayStation's Japan studio that just went defunct. Some of the people worked on Gravity Rush. There's a Devil May Cry developer working on the game.
Yeah, the pedigree's there. The body horror's there. It reminds me pleasantly of the necromorphs from Dead Space and The Thing from John Carpenter's The Thing.
This shot at the end really creeps me out.
The shot here from Kowloon. Yeah, like the walled cities. I mean, it's... what I said about tone, Akira Yamaoka doing music, awesome.
That's huge.
This definitely has my attention.
Yep, me too. And I wonder if it just complete this shot right here. Oh Lord.
Hi.
Oh man, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. So I'm excited for this. This is one of the most encouraging things I saw.
Yeah.
It's an all-star team.
And I know when
they
said Silent, everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's Kojima's Silent Hill." It's like, this is better.
Yep, this will be better.
This is way better.
It will be better.
I'm way happier with this.
Yep. It just entered full production, so it's a ways away. They said they're aiming for 2023. Right now, the platforms that are announced for it are PC, PS5, and Xbox Series, just like almost everything else that was shown.
Salaryman and a Japanese horror thing. You are dead.
I'm very excited, Matt, that all these games are next-gen only. My biggest pet peeve of this year is how many games I had to play that looked like their last-gen games. And that looked like that is going to be remedied really quickly, or really soon at least. So anyway, that's Slitterhead. Next up, a game called Nightingale. This game has kind of made the rounds before, Matt. It was originally being developed as an MMORPG, and I guess they weren't getting good results with their focus group testing. And they're like, okay, well, we love the work that we've done on this for the most part. Let's see if we can kind of reconfigure it into something that'll be more appealing. And they've turned it into even their description is hard to even explain. It's a survival crafting world builder. It gives me Pan's Labyrinth vibes, this game.
Yeah, I really like the aesthetic and the costumes and the look and everything. I just wish it was a different game. Like, I don't want to play Valhalla with...
You mean Valheim?
Valheim,
Yeah.
That's right.
That's kind of what it sounds like.
That's what it made me think of, yeah. And I liked Valheim well enough, but, like, I wish this was more of a straightforward, like, action-adventure game.
Yep, I'd agree. It is created by ex-BioWare developers, hopefully the good ones.
Yeah.
It's set.
I'd rather have the good ones on Dragon Age 4, but
yep.
We didn't get to see any of that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's set in the 19th century in an alternate Victorian world where magic has existed for hundreds of years. The magic has allowed humanity to build a network of portals, basically Victorian stargates, to other fantasy realms. The goal of the game is to get back to the city of Nightingale, which is the heart of all magic. So basically, you're trapped in these odd realms, and the objective is to get back to Nightingale. But there's world building, there's survival elements, there's a lot of crafting to it. Game looks good. We'll see if it's fun to play. But it definitely caught my eye. It stood out among a lot of the games that were shown at the show. At least I thought it did.
It did. It's just, as soon as I figured out what it was, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it was like a BioShock or
an action RPG.
An action RPG or an action adventure. Like,
because I do like the setting a lot.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, the art, the costuming, all that stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish it was more like an Outer Worlds thing.
Yep. I'd agree with you. I'd be more excited for it. But I'm still going to give it a chance. Some of the stuff in this I want to experience. So we'll see how it turns out. Next up, The Lord of the Rings Gollum. That game disappeared pretty much all year. We got an update on it in like February or March. And then finally it reappears here at the Game Awards. Are you excited for this game at all?
No.
Me either.
I have no interest in Home Alone Gollum Edition.
It's a stealth game, basically.
Yeah,
where you can crawl on any
I would
wall
not
or
have thought
ceiling.
you could think of a way to make Lord of the Rings uninteresting to me, but you did.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other way you could do it is if you made like Just Dance Tom Bombadil edition. Like this is. I don't want to play this. I don't want to play this. I don't like the art style. I don't like the look they've gone with him for. It's like they're trying to make him a little cartoony or a little cuter, and it's just not working.
It's set during the Fellowship of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
It basically tells the story of the destruction of the ring from the perspective of Gollum. Mm-hmm. You can run on any surface. The levels are designed so that you can run on the ceiling, on the walls, wherever, and they've designed the levels.
That's a new ability for him. He can't. Yeah. He's never been able to. I mean, he can climb stuff, but he's never stuck. He's not a spider. That's
he can cling to anything. They say he also has superhuman strength in the game, which I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he is strong and wiry, but he's strong for a hobbit kind of thing.
But they said they're designing the levels with the idea that, since you can go anywhere, they want to give you the freedom to kind of accomplish the levels how you want. That always seems like a 50-50 proposition to me. Mm-hmm. It works sometimes it doesn't work. But we'll see. It's coming to all platforms. This is one of the rare games that was at the Game Awards that is coming to last gen. And it's coming Q4 of next year. So they still have a lot of time to work on it. Some previews that came out recently that were not very kind. So just keep that in mind. Here's one of the most pleasant surprises from the Game Awards to me, and I think the best trailer from the Game Awards possibly, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. The sequel to a game, third-person shooter that came out like 10 years ago, like a decade ago. 11 years ago. Which I was surprised to find it has a lot of fans.
It does.
Yeah.
Warhammer is a big deal, and Space Marine was very well received, just didn't really sell outside of the fandom. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a Gears of War clone.
Yeah.
Didn't really sell outside of the fandom. It was very good. It was Relic made the first one, and it was pretty solid. Captured things well. Part of the problem, too much orc stuff. It was very front loaded with orc stuff, and then you eventually started fighting chaos forces, which was more interesting. Mm-hmm. I did not see a Space Marine sequel 11 years later in the cards, but I'm glad it's here.
This trailer's awesome. Like, I'm not a huge 40K guy.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be. When I saw this trailer start, I thought this was gonna be Total War 40K.
Okay.
I thought this was gonna be like an Ultramarine,
like a cinematic trailer as well. Because they always. That's
but then they were like Space Marine 2. I was like, well, hell, cool.
If you're not a fan of 40K, after watching this trailer, you may be. I mean, it's that good.
I don't play Warhammer like the actual game. I have other things to do with my money. Very expensive hobby. But I really like a lot of the games. I like the Dawn of War games a lot. I wish they do a Total War one for 40K, and I'm definitely in on this. I like Space Marine. I even liked Fire Warrior on the PS2. I go way back.
It is coming to, again, PC, PS5, Xbox Series. I'm hoping a lot of you guys get your new consoles over the holidays because everything is finally moving to next gen only. No date for it at all. It's just a CG trailer, which isn't a good sign, so my guess is probably not for 2 or 3 years until we see it. Exciting to know it's there, though. That's for sure. Pleasantly surprised by this. One of the most pleasant surprises from the show, in my opinion. They do show a little bit of gameplay. Yeah, but it's just like this little 3-second montage at the end.
My guess is we'll be playing that in March 2023.
Yeah, maybe. Sounds about right. The other thing, too, is that it's not being published by, a big publisher.
Yeah.
So the quality control might be a little less.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that, a lot of that's, Games Workshop is sort of, striking out in that direction, sort of like what Wizards of the Coast is doing with their own in-house stuff with, Dark Alliance turned out real bad. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, this thing where, RPG companies or board game companies try to make their own games is a real mixed bag so far.
Yep. We'll see how it goes, but I was very, very encouraged by the debut trailer for it. Next up, Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Really the first look that we got at gameplay, just raw footage, although it's shot with cinematic cameras and things like that, but you really get
seeing the game.
You really get a good idea of what each character can do. And I was impressed with this as well.
I think this looks intensely boring.
Really?
I have zero interest in this game.
Wow. I was really impressed by it.
I want a game out of the... I thought the concept of trying to kill the Justice League would be cool, but everything that happens in this trailer is so fucking boring to me. It's so by the numbers. All of them have different abilities, but they all just do things I've done 100,000 times already. Captain Boomerang throws electric... Who cares? King Shark is strong and hits things and throws it. Who cares?
What I saw that impressed me was, one, all the characters do play completely different. I'm not sure how.
I still don't know why Captain Boomerang. I know he's in it because he's a fixture of the Suicide Squad, but like compared to the other three, he is such a zero in terms of just look and like I don't care.
Like, can you think you can switch between the characters when you want?
Yeah, because it's like it's not really as I understood it. It's more of a brute force thing. It's like you can switch between them whenever you want.
It will. Is that what they're?
I think that's it's more of a. I think you can only play like 2-player co-op or something. It's more of a, or maybe it's 4. I don't know. It would be silly if it wasn't 4. But there is an eye towards single player switching between characters, I think.
Okay. I like the verticality of it.
I don't think this is Back for Blood DC edition.
Okay. Or anything. I like the verticality of it. Like there's for instance, she can almost swing like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then
a choice.
They show other people using like kind of these weird jetpack things to get around. Like
I just don't. I mean,
graphically, I think it looks amazing.
Oh, graphically, it's incredible. It also reminds me of Sunset Overdrive a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Just in
lots of
the
bright
attitude
colors.
and the glowing colors and stuff. Like it's just I don't know. Like just this trailer left me ice cold.
Huh.
Like
I really liked it. I thought it made the game look good.
I mean, look, I don't have any fondness for the Suicide Squad thing anyway, and the only character in this game I have any affinity for is Harley Quinn, and she's barely Harley Quinn. When she's on a team, she's pretty different.
Yep.
I do like I do like some of Flash's stuff here. Like, the idea of fighting the Justice Leaguer is a cool idea.
It seems like the game is going to be just going from one to another, trying to kill them.
I don't know. I don't see anything here that I haven't already done 100 times, and I don't see a spin on it that makes it more interesting to me beyond the presence of Justice League characters. But like, we don't really get a full taste of what the difference of fighting that is. I just don't care.
It piqued my interest for sure. And I thought it looked really good.
Visually, it looks amazing, but I all I can, it's maybe not fair to it, but all I can sit there is see when I think this. When I see this is be like, where is my goddamn Batman game that looks like this?
Oh.
Where is
that what it's coming down to? You're just pissed off because it's not Batman.
Not just. I think that really looks like an incredibly boring game. But I also would rather. I mean, if there was.
I don't know. I feel like I may have got to the root of the problem.
No,
here.
It's not. It's part of it because I think Rocksteady has better things to do. But like, if I
don't understand what's wrong with it though.
It just looks boring to me.
But anyway.
Like, there's nothing in it that I want to. I don't look at that and say I want to play it.
Vincent says Suicide Squad is 4-player co-op.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotham Knights is one that's only 2.
Yeah, so. Gotham Knights is weird that they do that. Again, if they're putting out regular DC gaming content that like Wonder Woman sort of stuff, like if there were other alternatives to play as these characters that I care about, as opposed to the Suicide Squad, which I don't care about, I would be less down on the Suicide Squad game looking so boring to me because I could just skip it and it wouldn't matter because like there's other DC options, but there aren't. I mean, even the other Gotham game is like a bunch of fucking also-rans. Like it's.
I mean, I don't really care about DC at all. I don't even really have like a huge affinity for Marvel, to be honest with you. I do like think DC. It looks like a fun game.
I do like DC. I don't like play. I mean, DC hasn't had a ton of output for a while. Yeah. I like all the DC characters. I think the pinnacle of the DC characters presentation in pop media is probably the DC animated universe.
Yeah.
If you made just a Justice League game that was sort of equivalent to those Justice League cartoons, I think you'd have something.
Yeah.
But like, and I lean into the Suicide Squad because they were hoping that's one of their breakout hits. I'd say Harley Quinn, as played by Margot Robbie, is basically the only cultural impact the DC cinematic universe has had.
Well, Joker.
Joker's not. I mean, Jared Leto Joker hasn't been anything except a bunch of jokes. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, just as far as like making an impact culturally, like that movie did very well. And
that's not DC
critically
acclaimed.
Universe. It's not.
It's not in continuity with the Zack Snyder stuff. No.
Oh, well, that's probably why people like it.
People like it because you can fool some of the people all the time. Joker's a terrible fucking movie.
I've never watched the whole thing.
It has no brain in its head, and if you actually think that's good, you should go watch the 2 movies it stole all of its shit from, which is the King of Comedy and Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it is kind of a mix of those.
Except Taxi Driver and King of Comedy have points and themes and brains in their heads, and Joker is like watching someone act something out without understanding what they're doing.
Yeah, it's so dark and dreary.
Filmmaking wise, not Joaquin Phoenix. Phoenix knocks it out of the park from what he has to work with, for sure. But that movie is one of the most empty-headed things I've ever seen.
I can never find myself in the right mood when I stumble across it. And maybe that's because that mood is very elusive.
Yeah, the mood to watch a nihilistic, brainless recount of far better Scorsese movies is hard to find.
Yeah.
Especially these days.
All right, let's move on. We got a bunch more to get through. Next up, Saints Row.
You missed Forspoken.
Oh, that's right. And that's a problem because the game is impressing me, Forspoken. This trailer, not so much, honestly.
No, the trailer wasn't great, but I am interested.
Yeah, this game is really starting to get on my radar at this point. It is PC and PS5 only. It launches May 24th of next year, so it's coming pretty soon. Square Enix has allowed people to do some hands-on with this stuff, and they're basically saying it's Assassin's Creed. It's an open-world action RPG, except the thing is, all the combat is magic.
Yeah.
Even the melee weapon that you use is like a magical sword. It's not.
It looks like it reminds me of the Ten Rings.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. The character that you play as is named Frey Holland. She's a trouble girl from New York City who just gets zapped into this insane world. She has a bracelet, a sentient bracelet named Cuff, and that's where she gets all her powers from. This is all written by Gary Whitta, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all his concoction.
Whitta's in there, and I think Hennig has something to do with this, too.
Oh, that's right. She was a consultant or whatever on it for a while. The objective is you must stop the Break, which are the bad guys in this alternate universe. They're trying to corrupt the land. Apparently, she swears a lot, like a New Yorker. Like they're not pulling any punches in the game, which is good that Square Enix let Gary kind of do his thing and create this universe and this character, and they're going to let her be the character that Gary wants her to be. And then there's tons of upgrading using her cloak. She can gain special abilities and buffs using magical nail polish, which is a little weird. That, to me, is very Final Fantasy. Because don't forget, this is made by the Final Fantasy 15 team on the Luminous engine. And so there are some, you can tell in certain shots in these trailers, at least I think you can, that it's made by the same team and on the same engine. But I think it looks pretty good. And then obviously there's a ton of parkour in it, which lets her get across long distances on foot. This game has shot up my list of games I'm excited for, and
It's
I'm not
out pretty soon too.
Yeah,
I was pleased at how soon that release date is.
I'm not a huge fan of Final Fantasy 15, but they did have other people come in and help them work on this, so I'm hoping that made a difference because I know you're not a big fan of it either.
Oh no. One of the worst things of the last generation.
Yep. So anyway, Forspoken coming May 24th, and it's coming to PC.
Never say I don't give them another chance because this does look pretty good.
Yep. PC and PS5. No Xbox version yet. You think they'll make an Xbox version eventually?
Maybe.
Depends on how it does.
If it's a hit, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Now on to Saints Row. This game is also one of the few games that is going, is releasing for
Definitely
prior
next
gen.
year, yeah.
It's coming to everything but the Switch. They just bumped it out. The release date is now August 23rd of 2022. So it's coming late summer. Would not be surprised if it gets delayed again into Q4.
At the very least, delaying it out of that really crowded February-March zone is good.
Yeah.
I think it would get buried.
Did this game look fun to you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested in Saints Row. This trailer definitely looked like it was more trying to prove that it's Saints Row.
Like the gangs.
The the tech guys and the wacky stuff. And it was much more, the previous trailers for this have looked very straight, more GTA-ish, more like real, kind of, quote unquote.
This shows some crazy stuff, though.
People have criticized it for like not looking like Saints Row. Like it's too serious and it's too... This is like, no, it's Saints Row. Like it's
There's some crazy stuff in this trailer, man.
Oh yeah,
like just the edit. If you really pay attention to like some of the really quick
and
shots.
Whoever over at Volition,
like right there was like a Back to the Future like jet board that you're riding on.
Whoever over at Volition hates people in furry costumes is still working there apparently because that is still a thing.
Look, if the job of a game being at the Game Awards is to get me more excited for it, it worked with this game. It hasn't worked with all of them, but it definitely worked with this one. I'm excited for Saints Row.
Yeah, I do like this series. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot even if it didn't look weird and cool. But
got a 9-month wait, not too much longer. And here is the game, the one trailer out of literally like 100 that I totally screwed up and did not get on the TriCaster before today's show. And that is Dune Spice Wars, an RTS set in the Dune universe.
The various Spice Girls fight over the planet Arrakis.
It's coming from Funcom.
Spice Wars is a weird title.
Yeah.
That all that makes me think is like Posh Spice is trying to
Well,
conquer
the
the
spice
Harkonnen
is
Empire.
like the currency of the Dune universe. So,
But
yeah.
Spice Wars is a little
To someone who doesn't know what Dune is, yeah, it could
it's a
seem
little on the
weird.
nose.
A little weird. Yep, absolutely.
I know what Dune is, and I'm just like, it just feels like trying to make Dune hip somehow.
More than it is.
Something
It's not. Yeah.
Like one of the big board games for Dune that came out this year is Dune Imperium, which is like that's okay. I get it's about politics and Spice Wars sounds like the title of like a Saturday morning cartoon show for Dune.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep. But it is an RTS. It's coming only to PC as of right now. Is it 4X?
I thought it was a 4X.
I thought it was RTS.
I thought the trailer said it was a 4X.
Oh, that makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
To me, anyway.
The 4X.
Maybe not
Dune,
to some
a Dune
people.
4X would be interesting. Yeah.
It would be. But it's only for PC right now, and there's no release date yet. And the trailer, to be honest with you, wasn't much anyway. So you're not missing anything because of my screw up. Let's see what's next. Steel Rising.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, our buddies over at Spiders.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Spiders.
He is our hero.
Yeah, it is. Well, I always think of Spiders as the team behind the Technomancer, but really, what most people know him for is Greedfall.
Yeah.
I
think of him as the team behind Mars Warlords.
Right.
Like go back to the old school.
Yeah.
But these guys are kind of like Eurojank BioWare, and they get better and better as they go.
They do.
Like I said after Greedfall, give these guys one more game, and they're going to make something that's of the quality level of say like if BioWare had made a game between Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be it.
Here it is. Yeah.
I think you're going to get something out. I think this game is going to turn some heads. I think this is Spider's breakout game.
It's about time. It's an action RPG set in alt history where the French Revolution can be put down by robots.
Mm-hmm.
The game has actually been revealed for a while. It's been known about since July of last year.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
We've never talked about it on GameFace though.
But it's because there hasn't been anything to talk about really until now. But I mean, if you can't trust a trailer that has a clockwork automaton and a powdered wig, like what are you doing?
Yeah. So anyway, we have a soft spot in our hearts for Spiders.
Yeah.
I played Technomancer for like 50 hours.
Yeah, Technomancer goes on and on and on.
I can't believe I played it that long because it really wasn't that great. I'll just be honest. But for whatever reason, it sucked me in and I kept playing it.
Yeah, I recommended it to a friend of mine earlier last year when she was looking for something to stream, and she played it, and she mostly thought it was embarrassing, but she did finish the whole thing.
Oh, she did.
She was mostly very amused by the weird. She couldn't figure out like what the point or the angle was on like the radical feminists in it that called all the guys fallows and shit and she's like are they parodying feminism or a certain type of feminist? Are they anti-feminist? Are they pro-feminist? But they don't think this is how to do it. She's like, I can't figure out their point of view and it keeps me playing kind of.
They're just pro Eurojank.
Yeah, they just want to confuse you.
Yeah,
they just want you to not know where your character's foot's gonna end up in the next frame. That's
a good one. Next up, Star Trek Resurgence, created by former Telltale developers.
Telltale escapees.
Yep, and it looks very much like a Telltale game.
I thought it was,
except it seems that there's more interactivity.
Yes,
there's actually a shot in here where it shows you shooting something. So
you might need to aim a couple of times. Buckle up.
It also does appear to have dialogue trees and choices and all the stuff Telltale's games for.
That's cool. This is the kind of Star Trek game I think can really work.
Now you can set your phasers to stun.
Yeah,
as I alluded to earlier.
Set after next gen in the timeline. So it's slightly post.
That was my question for you, actually. Where is it set?
It's slightly after Next Generation.
Okay. They show Spock in this.
Yeah, Spock's around.
Yeah.
Vulcans live a long time. And the guy, it's a pretty good old Spock impersonation.
Yeah. May Leonard Nimoy rest in peace.
Mm-hmm. But not Spock. Spock's got work
He's got to keep working.
Sell some games, Spock. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've fallen out of love with Telltale's formula a little bit here over the last couple years.
Yeah, but this looks like enough of a tweak that's got my attention. Like,
it's Star Trek, so I'll probably give it a go.
I'm not super jazzed about the Telltale Expanse game, although apparently it's just, I don't know, the people that I know that are into the Expanse are just like, oh my god, this character, da-da-da. I'm like, okay, I don't understand the significance of any of that, but You're right. Like, it's like Telltale stuff. You're just like, okay, and The Wolf Among Us season 2 or whatever. It's just like, okay, cool, but I know what I'm gonna do. There's no, I'm not an innovator. You know me. I'm more execution over innovation. But like, there's only so much you can execute on in that formula without changing it up, and they just don't want to change it up.
It all comes down to the writing.
Yeah,
it's what matters the most, and it's been hit or miss for me.
Yeah, it's definitely been scattershot, even episode to episode in some cases.
You're right. Some will be great. The next one you'll be like, this is boring as crap. Next up, the worst game, in my opinion, at the Game Awards, Rumbleverse.
This looked awful.
Oh.
Just awful.
Man.
Like, can the companies that get the bright idea in their head of like, oh, this will compete with Fortnite? No, it won't.
No,
it will not compete with
really
Fortnite.
Won't.
Stop it. Stop. You can't compete with Fortnite.
It is a wrestling-themed battle royale game. So everything is melee-based.
Never frustrating online.
Whose idea was this, and who greenlit it?
Someone did this suplex off a building thing, and I guess thought that was a good idea. I don't know.
After playing Knockout City or something. Like, it is coming from Iron Galaxy. They're the team that made the Killer Instinct reboot not too long ago.
So at least they have experience in melee combat.
Yeah. It reminds me of, what's that Switch game that's like an online melee game that looks like Splatoon? Someone in chat will know.
I don't know.
It's like a free-to-play brawler for Switch, but this looks like just a cheap knockoff of that. And I played the Switch game
Brawlhalla?
No. Brawlhalla is like a Smash Brothers clone. This is just like an open-world kind of brawler game. Someone in chat will say. People actually like Rumbleverse, Vincent is saying, and they're wrong and they're dumb.
Arms?
No, it's not. Ninjala, that's it. Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of Ninjala, and I tried Ninjala a couple times and I couldn't get into it. So that may be tainting my impressions of this a little bit. I just think it looks bad, like artistically. I think it's gross. Like, there's nothing appealing about the look of that game to me at all.
No,
I don't know. I guess the kids are liking it. There's a beta going on right now. Maybe they're playing it and it's more fun than I think it is. I don't know. I've struggled to see why someone would think that game looked impressive.
Yeah, Vincent says Epic's publishing it, so
yeah. Well,
maybe the crossover with Fortnite will save it.
Could. Well, they can cross promote it with Fortnite, and that might save it. Yeah. It is free to play, and there's a beta live now. If you want to give it a go, you can. I would recommend you just steer clear of that one, but hey, different strokes for different folks. Next up, another game that shot up my interest scale after the Game Awards, A Plague Tale Requiem. Except for the fact that they decided to publish a trailer shot like it was on a cell phone.
That is an odd choice for something set in the Dark Ages, yes.
And you see them struggle to frame the shots in this trailer so you can tell what the hell is going on. Why would you do this?
I don't know.
Do you want people to watch it on their cell phones and fill up the whole screen?
It didn't look like this in the broadcast, did it?
I think it did.
I don't remember that.
This is what's on their official YouTube channel.
I don't remember it looking like that. I feel like I would have noticed that.
I don't know.
Why would they do that?
This is what's on their YouTube channel. Weird, huh?
Yeah, I wonder if that's a mistake. I definitely don't remember. I feel it was a full screen trailer in the broadcast or the stream. Yeah. I don't know why I don't know why you do that, because you're clearly cutting stuff off. Like, that's clearly not framed for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, like I said, they're struggling to get everything in frame.
I don't know what this is. That's weird. It feels weird. That feels like an error to me, because it definitely didn't look like that in the show.
I didn't see it in the live show.
I mean, because I'm interested in that, guys. I like the first one a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm in.
Yeah, I still think the game looks awesome. The production values of it have gone up a lot. The big question, obviously, is can they get the gameplay, if they can wrangle it to make it feel a little better. The last game, that was kind of its weak spot, in my opinion. Hopefully they can get it cleaned up and make it as fun to play as it is, as the concept is, and as fun as it is to look at it, because it's a unique game. And you're fighting the plague in the 14th century. It's coming also PC, PS5, Xbox Series. However, there is a Switch version of this one, cloud version. So I was surprised we didn't see more of that in the Game Awards, more cloud versions for Switch games. But people are like, nope, we're just doing PS5 series and PC. Seems to be the way it is. Next up, the Halo TV series, which looks amazing. It's coming to Paramount.
Does it?
I think it looks amazing. Look at the screen.
I think it looks like a fan film.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that a fan film?
Not that, but like this.
Really?
Looks.
Really?
Yeah, like this. I mean, that's not great effects work there. That's mid-budget television.
Well, it is mid-budget television.
Yeah, but Halo should be bigger than that.
The crazy part to me is that it's on Paramount Plus. It's not even television, Matt. It's streaming.
Yeah, well, streaming is that.
I guess it is now, yeah. But not for Paramount. Like, Paramount has tons of TV networks, linear networks.
Yeah, but they know where their bread is buttered at this point.
I guess.
Especially for, like, the genre stuff.
It's a huge commitment. I'll also say that you're in the minority on your impressions of this. Most people are, like, blown away by it.
Well...
Like, the response on social media has been, like, overwhelmingly positive.
All right, well, standards are standards. But, also, this show has been in development hell for 15 years. I have no hope for this thing, really.
I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm just saying that the trailer looks good.
It looked, no. I mean, not bad. No, I wasn't like, oh my god, my eyes are bleeding. But it doesn't. It looks about on par with your kind of genre,
your
TV
OTT,
show.
streaming service TV show. Yeah. I mean, I think Mandalorian's probably a step up.
Oh yeah, Mandalorian's using different tech.
Yeah. In fact, it's using the tech that we're about to talk about next for The Matrix Awakens, which is a demo, an Unreal Engine 5 demo that you can download and play right now. And I say play.
Yeah.
Which
you can actually do it.
Which proves to you that it's all in real time, running in real time.
Look around in the city.
However, you can't do much.
No, it's not. It's a demo in the truest sense.
Definitely. It's like you aim at tires and it's like you're not even really aiming.
I mean, afterward, you can look around and poke around in the city.
I mean, it proves that it's real time and everything, which is amazing.
I mean, the characters are a little uncanny still, but like
they're right on that edge, man.
And they're lucky they're wearing sunglasses,
right?
Because then it would be like, oh my god. But it gets you there, and like I've sent like non-gaming friends like shots from like in the city and stuff, and they've all asked me if that was a drone shot. Like none of it, they all thought it was real.
Wow. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
If you keep faces out of it, especially, I mean, she's better because I don't know what that actress looks like in real life. But Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss, I know that's not really them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good. It's very good.
It's amazing, really. It's like a marvel.
Yeah. And once you get out of the car and start showing like the freeway blowing up and stuff, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, Shneeky's saying, I'd love if companies release tech demos. It's fun to try.
Yeah.
They just did. This one's out there. You can download it for free on your PS5 or your Xbox Series console right now. And it's not short either. It takes like 8 minutes or something like that to get through the whole thing. I mean, is this feasible for games in the next 3 years? Probably not.
But like you'll see something like that.
It does show you what the.
If you're not making a whole city, you could probably get something smaller to look like that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. But it looks hot, dude.
Oh yeah.
it's almost photorealistic.
Ridiculous.
I mean, look at that. It's really crazy. It's insane that like even knowing that they limit what you can do as far as controls and where you're gonna look and things like that. That they can still run something in real time on a video game console that looks like this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Billions of polygons.
It's unreal. Like
it is. Like they call it that for a reason.
Apparently. I was really impressed with this.
Yeah.
And even look, if games in real time even get to like 75% of this, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm totally cool.
Until next gen.
Right.
When they better fool us. Completely, looking through a window.
Next gen, the faces will be fixed.
I don't know if the faces will ever be fixed.
I know. It really is a problem.
Yeah. Like the human brain is wired to recognize eyes and faces so well that like I don't know if you will ever get to a point where you fully fool.
It's tough.
People.
Yep. Sci-fi stuff will get you.
There's always going to be
creatures.
There's
and
always,
things like
even
that.
if you do, like, there's always going to be moments where it doesn't work. It's never going to be 100% perfect. You're going to have like 80. If you get 80% believe that's Keanu Reeves, there's going to be a couple shots where you're like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
Your brain. It's one of the things our brains have wired themselves to do better than anything else.
To pick out humans.
See faces. See people. Because in the old days, if you didn't see the other person, they were probably going to kill you. So
that's a good way to put it.
So the people who got to live and breed were the people who could see faces in the jungle. And that's one of the other reasons we see faces on everything.
I mean, it's Darwinism, honestly.
Well, Darwinism is a different thing.
A little bit, yeah.
But it is evolution.
Yeah.
It is the result of evolution.
Yep, absolutely. So that looks awesome. It's not turning into a real thing. This is all it is. But again, you can go and download it for free and give it a go. And just make sure you don't cover up the vents on your PS5 or your Xbox before you start playing it, because it pretty much pushes the consoles to the limit. It's cool that they decided to do something like that. I wish there was more
Yeah.
stuff like this.
I mean, the Wachowskis have always been supportive of video game stuff,
Yeah.
and they've always wanted to tell the story as part of that. And I always loved that they the end of the end of the Path of Neo, where instead of like kind of the more philosophical self-defeat situation of the movie, the Wachowskis pop up and they're just like, in the end, Neo has to accept his own, failings and his own vulnerability and become part of the system to sort of surrender his own ego. But that's a terrible ending for a video game, so we're just gonna have you fight a giant Agent Smith.
Yeah,
Have fun. And it's just like
that's great. So anyway, that's the Matrix Awakens. Obviously there was a bunch of stuff for Matrix Resurrections. Again,
a previously unseen scene, which, by the way, elevated my excitement for that movie tremendously because it confirms that the Matrix is the real world again.
When does it come out, the film?
Next week.
Wow.
Wednesday.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the 22nd.
What a pleasant surprise.
I got my ticket already.
Wow. I'm going to be home. I'll have to get it. I'll find people
I
to go.
am actually
No
staying a little later than I normally would for Christmas so I can see it at the Chinese theater because the IMAX screen there is
That's
so
great.
good.
I leave on Monday.
But
So.
the clip from the Game Awards shows they mentioned Tokyo. Like they basically gate to Tokyo. And like one of my big complaints about the sequels to The Matrix is they jettison the idea that The Matrix is our world, and the Matrix is basically like a nondescript mishmash city surrounded by kind of mountains and wilderness. It's not the real world anymore, and that lost a lot of the verve to me.
I'd agree with that.
And the fact that this one is like, they're simulating the whole planet, and like you don't know, like that's great because they're back to that again. Because that was the mind screw of the original Matrix, which I saw in IMAX last week. The first time it's ever run in IMAX in theaters. Is like the idea that it was that the Matrix, the marketing campaign, the first real online marketing campaign was like really focused on the idea of, are we in the Matrix and everything. You have the deja vu scene where it's like it happens when they change. The implication of that being that humans outside of the Matrix don't have deja vu,
Right.
and the reason you and I have deja vu is because we're in the Matrix, man. Like that's the thing that like was lost in the sequels that I really liked was that hook of like.
I mean, there was a lot lost in the sequel.
Yeah, but that was one of the big
Yeah.
There are two ways to do that
change.
premise, and they switched ways between the first movie and the sequels, and you can't do that.
It lost me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see, one last game that we're going to talk about from the Game Awards. And that game is called Arc Raiders.
I didn't quite know what to make of this one.
Well, I don't know what to make of it because the guy who's working on it is the guy who made Disintegration. And when I was putting together my Game of the Year awards, I realized that my most disappointing game from last year was Disintegration. Or no, the worst game I played from last year was Disintegration. And now he's moved on to work on this new thing. I think it looks way better than Disintegration. I'll say that much.
Remind me what Disintegration was?
It was that shooter that would cross with an RTS where you kind of flew in like a hover pod.
Oh, right.
And you could direct your troops on the ground.
Yeah, I remember that.
It literally was a flash in the pan, and the studio closed down and blah, blah, blah. And now they've moved on and started this new project called Arc Raiders. It has former Battlefield developers on it. It's free to play. It's cooperative. It looks kind of like a decent Earth Defense Force is probably the best way I would describe it. I'm pretty impressed with this, to be honest with you. I'm also a huge fan of the track that they use for this trailer, which is Robin S. Dancing on My Own. The thing is, it's a very weird song to choose for a cooperative game.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the opposite of what the game is. You're not dancing on your own. It's cooperative. But I think it looks pretty interesting. My big question about this is it's all mechs. And fighting robots gets boring after a while. In any game, it gets boring fighting robots.
Robots are like giant mechs and stuff are a good like crescendo
right.
enemy.
But the whole time, it gets old real fast. So that's kind of my one concern. But otherwise, game looks pretty hot, man.
Yeah.
And they're Robin S. fans, so that gives them a step up, in my opinion. Even though the song makes no sense for the game. And that game, let me see if I got the information here. Oh, I don't have the platforms or release date for Arc Raiders. It's one of the only game that I did not include that for. So I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat can fill us in so we can get it on the record here in the show. But I think it looks pretty cool. But it is free to play. It could just be another one of those flash in the pan games. Shows up, everybody plays it for a week, and then you don't hear from it again. I don't know. But anyway, those are all the reveals from the Game Awards. Now let's talk about the performances. We kind of did that already. We talked about Sting already. We talked about Imagine Dragons already. Do you think they need more or less performances, or do you think that they need performances that make sense? Because look, I know there's like,
I mean, Sting was singing the song from Arcane. Like, it's not there wasn't a tie-in, but like if
it's very tenuous. Like,
it's very
the connective tissue is.
It feels like Jeff wanted to meet Sting. Is what it feels like. But I would, if I were in charge of it, I would definitely triple down on the orchestra stuff. Like, the orchestra stuff are the best moments musically in that show. Certainly this year, and probably in previous years as well. Like, you know, having the medley of all the
game of the year
themes and game of the year themes, like all, and doing like that's great. That's iconic. That's you know, paying tribute and giving honor to the art form, I think, in a positive way.
They had the Red Dead Redemption performance, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Like, every show, it seems like they have one or two that work really well, and then one or two that just
there's always some
don't make a lot of
standouts.
sense.
Yeah.
I have no affinity for Imagine Dragons either, so that doesn't help. Like, it's funny, Jeff talks them up like they're the Beatles or something. I'm like, dude, like...
Yeah. I mean, I actually do like Imagine Dragons, but
really?
I don't understand what they're doing either this time or the last time they were there. They came in and sang a song that has nothing to do with anything.
It's weird that he said something about them taking a chance on him. I'm like, wait, didn't you pay them? Like...
Yeah, but I guess they didn't. The first time they were on the Game Awards was like, they were a little too big to be on the Game Award. Like, you know, like I think he meant take a chance and like do this weird little Game Award show that they'd never heard of, and which could have been perceived as like beneath them, basically. But now it seems like they've gotten some high prestige enough acts that they can do that. I just don't think it needs that. Like, did anyone tune into the Game Awards specifically to see Imagine Dragons play? No. Like,
you can go watch them on YouTube.
Yeah,
you can watch their whole concert on YouTube. Vincent says Arc Raiders is next gen only, so another game that's only next gen. Cinetyke says the Cuphead band was sweet. I loved it. That's right. That was the Cuphead thing was good. That was the best performance in the show. Yeah. Absolutely. And that also a little tenuous because it's like DLC for a game that's like 2 years old, and the DLC isn't coming out until like late next year. But the performance was awesome. Like, it was, I think, the best one of the entire show. And so Cinetyke, I totally agree with you on that one.
Jeff Goldblum would do anything if he pays rate. Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, he's voicing like that crappy Jurassic Park game we just talked about not long ago. And a lot of the other people in the movies did not decide to do that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. But I think
we all did.
What?
In the Jurassic Park game, they're all in it except for Pratt.
Really? So the woman voices her character.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard is the voice in that.
Sounded different to me. Okay. All right, let's move on from performances. Let's just talk about overall impressions of the show. What kind of a letter grade would you give the Game Awards 2021?
I mean, in terms of being an overall show, or in terms of showing me games?
Just the show.
Kind
of
overall
whole
show?
thing.
Probably more like a C+.
Yeah. That seems about right.
Yeah.
It's
like, I'd say B+ game reveals, but C+ show.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of clouds my judgment on it is that I was with Vincent, like, curating through this thing, and it was a nightmare. Like, it was just overwhelming. And, like, the funny part is, by the time we got to the end of the show, we had kept up with the show between Vincent and I.
Yeah. I mean, it was overwhelming even just watching it.
And I think that is maybe soured my impressions of the show a little bit, to be perfectly honest with you. It felt like too much. Like,
I mean, it's 3.5 hours, and it doesn't need to be, which is shorter than last year. Was like more like 4. I think. But there was a point like around 7 o'clock where he's like, "Oh, we got so much show left to go." I'm like, "I know, dude. You're only halfway through this damn thing."
Yeah.
Like,
how long are the Oscars?
The Oscars are more like 3, a little under 3.
They are 3.
They have been
the same
4
length.
These are longer. Game Awards are much longer.
They were what? This one was like 3:20, something like that.
Almost 3.5. In the previous years, they've been 4.
Have they?
Yeah.
Also, if you count the pre-show, it is 4.
Yeah, but they've gone from 5 to 9 in the past.
Wow, it's too much. Bill, I get it. Like, it's a year-long project that he works on.
You don't want to say no to anybody, really.
You don't want to say no. You don't want to ruin relationships because you need those relationships for then E3 and then Gamescom.
Yeah, like it's not really a thing you can curate.
No.
Like you ask if anybody has anything to show, and if they give you whatever they give you, you can't really be like, well, this isn't good enough for us.
Yeah,
because they might be insulted, and then the next time they might have the hottest thing in the world, and they don't want to give it to you because you said no to their thing that was boring.
Yep. I do think it was too overloaded with sponsorships and ads this time.
That's always going to be.
Like there was one ad where like Final Fantasy characters were like eating pizza. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was an exclusive emote you could get of the Final Fantasy 14 pizza eating
for
emote.
Grubhub.
For Grubhub, yeah.
Like that's where the stuff starts flying off the rails for me. Like the publishers do it. Like I can't believe Square Enix was like, yeah.
I mean, you remember the cup noodles quests in Final Fantasy 15, right?
Actually,
like there is no dignity there. Come on. He had a cup noodle hat you could download. And then, like, there's a whole thing, like what's his name? Who's the big guy in that? I can't remember any of their names because I don't give a shit about those worthless characters.
In which game?
Final Fantasy 15.
No, I don't remember.
Or he's like,
I don't remember any of those characters.
Cup noodle is the only thing that has the big chunks of meat that can satisfy a hunger. Like, it's literally reading ad copy in a fucking video game I paid $80 for.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think I'd give it a C+ overall. It's above average for the shows that he's put together so far.
Also, it will always disturb me when the Remedy guy comes out and starts speaking with like the Norwegian accent,
right?
Because that's Max Payne,
right? Yeah,
I will always see that face as Max Payne, and when he doesn't sound like Max Payne, it weirds me out.
The game, I felt like it did drag at points. There are a lot of ad breaks. It feels like he's making it so that, like, as if it's on linear television, but it's not.
Yeah, it's sort of, except all the advertisements are supposedly gamer oriented.
Yeah, and they are, but I understand he has to pay for his production. But
I liked his outfit better this year because Jeff.
Oh,
because a lot of years he goes with sort of the venture capitalist like coat with the plain shirt and the jeans, and like he went full suit this time.
What's the thing on his collars? What are those?
It's a decorative collar, so it's like you don't have to wear a tie because like there's something going on up there. But I like that because he clearly doesn't want to go full force. That Jim Carrey thing was bizarre.
It was bizarre.
They probably I wondered if he wasn't there because he's not vaccinated.
Maybe. Because he's a weird dude.
He's a little weird about that. There's a point during this video where I'm just like, what am I watching? And then they just sort of stop it and it's like, okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, he started flying off the rails.
But no, I thought Jeff's outfit struck the right balance because having him in like jeans a couple of years has not really worked for the tone they're going for, but I think he nailed it this time.
The other thing I would say, the production is amazing.
Yeah, production's high quality, very high quality.
So slick. Like the band stages, the lighting, the shots are all great.
It's a little weird that that he like is not on the stage.
Oh, right here it is. Right here it is, actually.
Yeah, there's the pizza.
Dude, this goes too far for me, Matt. Like, dude.
Yeah. I mean, MMOs have weird emotes like that, promotion emotes.
Anyway,
that didn't even ping my radar.
Really?
No.
Final Fantasy characters eating pizza in a Grubhub commercial.
The cup noodle thing already blew that.
It just ruined you.
I don't care. The ship has sailed.
Yeah.
If you get Kratos in there selling Chef Boy RD, then maybe I'll have another breakdown there.
Fair enough. So anyway, I think you're right. C+. It was still a great job. Jeff did a great job. I feel like he got all the reveals he could have.
Yeah. Nobody's running around with a Schick Razor outfit.
It was right. It was mostly paced pretty well. The ads weren't shameful.
Yeah. At least like the pizza thing, even if you think it's weird, at least it's a video game.
Right.
At least it's not trying to sell you like a shaving kit or like something.
Which some of the earlier stuff he did in the show, was more questionable. So there you go. That's the Game Awards 2021. Probably the biggest wrap up of that you are going to find anywhere. I think I can pretty much guarantee that one.
Yeah.
So as I said, we're not going to name that game at the end of this episode because we're already behind. I knew it was going to happen. We're already behind where we were supposed to be when we wrapped up this show. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break because it's hot in here. I'm going to walk out for a couple minutes and maybe get a drink. We're not going to take the stream down, but we're going to come right back here in 3 to 5 minutes, and we're going to deliver our Game of the Year awards for you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in about 5-ish minutes, I'm guessing. It's probably about how long it'll take for us to get like a little reprieve, get the show set up for the next thing, and we'll see you then. GameFace is up and out.
Bye.